Today, we're taking a journey into the very biology that makes every single one of us possible, human reproduction. We're going to look at the incredible, coordinated systems that create new life, starting right at the beginning, that moment our bodies first get the signal to change.
Right? We've all been there. Puberty. That time of super rapid, sometimes pretty confusing change. But what was actually happening inside? What was the biological trigger that set that whole thing in motion? Let's get into it.
You know, puberty is basically a hormonal wake-up call from the brain. For males, the key chemical messenger is testosterone, which is what kicks off sperm production. For females, it's actually a team of hormones, estrogen and progesterone, that start the monthly cycle. This is the biological spark, the starting gun that prepares the body for the potential to reproduce. Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We just talked about the body's awakening. Next, we're going to take a tour of the female and male systems, and then we'll see the moment where these two incredible biological stories come together.
So, let's kick things off with our first tour, the female reproductive system. It's made up of both external and internal parts, and trust me, each one has a very specific and vital role to play.
Okay, so looking at the external anatomy, we have what's known as the vulva. This includes the labia, which have a protective function, and the clitoris, which is a key center for sexual arousal.
Now this number, 400,000, is just astounding. That's roughly how many eggs a female is born with, all stored away in her ovaries. And here is the absolutely crucial part. That's it. It's a finite supply. No more are ever made in her entire lifetime.
Now, moving inside, we can actually trace the path an egg is going to take. So it starts in the ovaries, right? That's where the eggs are stored and released. From there, an egg travels into a fallopian tube, and this is super important. This is typically where fertilization happens. The final destination for this journey is the uterus, the organ that's perfectly designed to house and nourish a developing embryo.
Let's zoom in on the uterus for a second. This is an incredibly powerful muscular organ. Its main job? To protect and nourish a developing fetus. That inner lining you see, the endometrium, is a huge player here. Every single month, it thickens up to prepare for a potential pregnancy, and that whole prep is run by a really remarkable cycle.
So how exactly does the body pull this off month after month? Well, that brings us to the marvel of the menstrual cycle. It's this dynamic, finely tuned hormonal process that is just amazing.
You know, you can boil down the entire purpose of this really complex monthly cycle to one elegant goal: getting the body ready for a potential pregnancy. That means maturing and releasing an egg and making the uterus the perfect place to host it.
This whole thing is just a beautiful hormonal cascade, kind of like a series of biological dominoes. It all starts when hormone levels dip low. That's the signal to the brain. The brain answers back by releasing two key messengers, FSH and LH. FSH heads down to an ovary and tells a follicle, which is just a little sac with an egg inside, to start maturing. As that follicle grows, it makes more estrogen. And that rise in estrogen, it eventually causes a big surge in LH. And that surge is the green light for the main event, ovulation. After that, progesterone takes the stage to get the uterine lining ready.
So that whole hormonal dance we just talked about, it all leads to this one critical moment: ovulation. It's when the follicle releases one mature egg into the fallopian tube, making it available for fertilization. Okay, now it's time to explore the other half of this biological story. Let's take a tour of the male reproductive system and see how sperm are made and how they're transported.
So the journey of a sperm cell starts in the testes. Think of them as the production factory. From there, they move over to the epididymis to mature. Then they travel through a whole series of tubes, getting ready for the moment they might exit the body.
The process of actually creating sperm is called spermatogenesis. And this brings up a really crucial difference between the two systems. Remember how females are born with a set number of eggs? Well, sperm production is a continuous process. It's like a factory that flips the on switch at puberty and can just keep running for a lifetime.
And the numbers here are just staggering. A single ejaculation has, on average, around 300 million sperm cells. Now, compare that to the one single egg that gets released during ovulation. It really is a game of incredible odds.
But here's the thing. What we call semen is way more than just sperm. Actually, the sperm cells themselves make up just a tiny little piece of the total volume. The rest of it is this carefully crafted cocktail of fluids from different glands. For instance, about 60% is seminal fluid, which is packed with energy-rich nutrients. Another 30% comes from the prostate gland to help with transport. It's basically a complete mobile support system, all designed to help the sperm on their epic journey.
And that brings us to the final act of our biological story, the moment of fertilization. This is it. This is where those two separate paths of the egg and the sperm finally have a chance to meet. So, what is fertilization? It's that precise moment when one sperm cell fuses with the ovum, usually in the fallopian tube. All the genetic material from both combines to create a brand new single cell called a zygote. That's the very first cell of a new individual.
And when it comes to fertilization, timing is absolutely everything. No joke. Sperm can actually survive for up to 3 days inside the female reproductive tract. But the egg? It's only viable for about 24 to 48 hours after it's been released. This creates a very narrow window of opportunity each month when conception can actually happen.
So, think about it. Despite the 300 million or so sperm that might start the race, after navigating this long and really difficult journey, it all comes down to one. Only a single sperm cell will successfully fertilize the egg.
But the journey isn't even over after fertilization. That new zygote has to travel for several more days down the fallopian tube. Its destination is the uterus, where, if everything goes right, it will implant into that receptive uterine lining, and that is what officially kicks off a pregnancy.
You know, when you step back from all the mechanics and the hormones, it's pretty clear that this biology is about so much more than just cells. It's the foundation of our existence. It's a huge part of the human experience. As one of our sources puts it,
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. When you really think about the incredible complexity, the microscopic precision, and just the sheer odds involved in every single step of this journey, how does understanding all of this amazing biology change the way we see ourselves, and maybe even the nature of life itself?